So, what's the story with milk? Is it the worst thing you can possibly put in your body, responsible for all kinds of endless list of debilitating diseases, or is it a godsend in the form of the ultimate muscle building material? You have, you can look at it diametrically. Jason Blaha's stance, he says milk is the most awesome, basically, most awesome, perfect muscle building food that there is, versus Jerry Ward's position, which, and he makes sure it's very clear to stipulate that he doesn't care what you do whatever you want to do, eat whatever you want to eat. But the information that he was imparting leaves you to conclude that milk is absolutely hazardous, toxic, horrible, health-wrecking substance. So which is true? Who's right? Who's right? Well, first let's look at it then. Negative attributes of milk. Well, there are a lot of health issues, negative health issues that have been attributed to milk. I'm not even going to go back and look really quick to fact check myself, because I'll be accurate. Trust me, you can fact check me. There's so many things I'll probably neglect or just forget to mention half of a dozen horrible, terrible things that have been attributed to milk. Milk can aggravate or cause. One of the things is inflammation, and that's a big thing. Inflammation is a huge thing because it can pretty much accurately be said that all debilitating internal health issues are related to inflammation. So inflammation is a big thing. We don't want inflammation. Inflammation causes lots and lots of problems, and that's factual. That's absolutely, that's undeniable. But the list of liabilities that are associated with drinking milk go further than that. They even go to the point where you would think that milk, which is calcium enriched even here in the States for the most part, most milk, you would think that you're going to have, we've always heard, you have strong teeth and bones from drinking milk, right? Well, there are studies that basically say the opposite, conclude the opposite, that say that osteoporosis, hip fractures, and a whole bunch of other shit, brittle bones and bone deterioration has all been linked to the ingestion of milk. People that ingested a lot of milk, because although it's packed with calcium, we're unable to absorb that calcium. That calcium in that form, just with that milk alone, supposedly we cannot absorb and utilize that calcium. And because of that, I'm not even going to attempt to explain it because I'll get it screwed up. But it's cause and effect thing. In the end of the chain, you got osteoporosis and brittle bones and shit like that. So that's been attributed to milk ingestion. It's just lots and lots. It's all kinds of. The health risks are. I'd be here all night long, and it's just a fool's game to try and, remember a list that long, because it bears no significance to me. I read it. I've looked at all the information, and yeah, there's plenty of negative evidence about milk. There's plenty of bad press about milk out there. Plenty of studies that conclude milk is very, very harmful to your health, potentially. So what's the upside to milk? Is there an upside? In the face of that, is there an upside to milk? Well, I can only tell you, I've never been one of these people to have a YouTube channel so that I could just come on here and just be the middleman, just pass the information. Get the information from someplace and just pass it along to you guys. No. What I do is share with you my personal experiences. I think I've lived long enough now and have maintained enough decent physical stature and condition and strength and health that I can tell you what I do, what I've continued to do. I can tell you what has worked for me, what makes me feel good, what doesn't make me feel good. You know, what have I seen the best results from? And I can tell you this right now, although right now I am dairy free. And, you know, don't neglect to understand that when we're talking about milk, when I'm talking about milk, I'm talking about all dairy, not just talking about milk. But you're going to get, you know, of course, the heaviest concentration is milk. And people drink a lot of milk. But my experience with milk, and from what I've seen and lived, and I'm a guy that drank a gallon of milk a day, damn near a gallon of milk a day, all the way up until basically, a month ago. Milk, a gallon of milk a day for as far as I can remember. As far back as I can remember, easily 20 some years, 30 years, gallon of milk a day. Up until, a month ago. Now, the milk became better quality, if there is such a thing, but no matter what kind of quality the milk was, it still has been accused of all these negative impacts on your health. So the quality of milk doesn't really necessarily play into much of that, have much of an effect, if those are the things that you're concerned with. But what I have seen from milk is that it is absolutely the ultimate superfood for building muscle. It is absolutely the ultimate superfood for building muscle. Milk has proven itself to me again and again and again and again. Milk is if all you're trying to do is build muscle, and you got to understand that there are going to be other negative and dangerous and risky things that you're doing, as long as you're aware of that. I'm going to tell you what, milk, there's nothing that you can eat, there's nothing that you can drink and consume that's going to have a higher probability of building muscle on your body successfully and most efficiently and effectively than milk. That's my opinion. Nothing. It's very slow to digest. It's like 70% of a slower digesting protein, casein, and it's like 20% or 18%, whatever it is, of whey. And then you got your fat and your other bullshit in there, carbs. But because it's slow digesting, if you consume enough milk, like I always did, you can get by, you can have a lot of holes in your nutritional program that milk will fill. Milk has your back in that regard. If you're pounding down enough milk throughout the day, continually sipping on some milk throughout the day, drinking milk throughout the day, that milk is running hours behind digestion time. So you have this padding of nutrition just on hand, material just on hand, being constantly, continually, like a trickle IV released into your bloodstream. That's what milk has done for me. Milk just makes it easy. Milk makes it relatively easy to build that muscle. Relatively easy. It's a no-brainer. It's like foolproof. Milk is, can't speak highly enough of it as far as its muscle building properties. Now, all these other negative things with milk, phlegm being one of them, since I've been completely dairy-free for the past month now, 4 weeks, I have noticed that I don't have the little phlegm that I did have, which I did have pretty much most of the time. It wasn't a whole lot. It wasn't like I'm carrying some kind of fluid on my lungs, but I had a little bit of phlegm most of the time. Without the dairy, I don't have that. So that's gone. But was it really a huge problem in the first place? I know it sounds gross, but was it? No, it wasn't really that huge of a problem, that big of a deal. I've been thoroughly checked out just a year and a half or so ago. I had a catheter run all the way up my arm, into my heart, shoot and die pictures, and I have like no actual plaque. Like unheard of. When the surgeon that looked at me, the cardiac surgeon that looked at me, the specialist, he said, this is just unseen. It's unheard of. You have like no plaque. It's not even an option on this sheet that there's no plaque. The least we can attribute it to is, I think it was 10 or 20%. He said that's what I have to mark off because that's the lowest number available for me to choose from on this sheet, on this evaluation sheet, which coincides with this test, because everybody has at least that. But you have much less than that. He said literally you have like maybe 5% plaque. He said you'll never have a heart attack. Now that's what he said. Of course, I don't put any stock in that because you can still have a blood clot. You can still have, there's all kind of shit that can still happen. You can still have a stroke, a heart attack, just so you don't have any plaque. But it's one huge thing I don't have to worry about. And I don't attribute that to milk didn't clear my arteries. I pretty much have a good idea what did, and I have told you about that before. So if you're not down with it, you haven't been watching my videos. But point is, all that milk, it did not negatively impact me in that regard. The heart disease area, plaque, no. It hasn't caused me any problems with sugar, blood sugar. All my blood test work is outstanding, great, good. Blood pressure, good, normal. I'm not on any medications. I'm 57 years old. I'm not on any medications. So, what it would look like, outwardly, it seems to me that all those many decades, a gallon of milk a day really didn't have any negative impact except a little bit of phlegm. A little bit of phlegm. Now, what about inflammation? Well, I will tell you this. Without the milk, my joints hurt. My joints hurt some without the milk. Yeah, when I'm training, my joints hurt a little bit without the milk. And I went decades and decades with no joint pain at all. Into my 50s with no joint pain. Ever. At all. I mean, I had injuries. Pain associated around that. But the chronic thing, no. So is there any correlation there? Milk have anything to do with that? I don't know. Just telling you my experience, what's going on. So, you would think I'll run out and start drinking milk again? Not so fast. Not yet. Not yet. Because I still want to give it some more time. I'm ingesting all these plants now, which is a whole nother story in itself, on a whole nother, thing to talk about and delve into subject. Because, yeah, I do eat off my diet now and again. I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't cut it yet with 100% full-time, 24/7 just plants. I just can't do it. A number of reasons. I'll tell you what, I have more negative side effects now that I've switched to all these plants than I ever experienced from a gallon of milk a day. Now, does that, before you start screaming, you vegans out there, does that mean that the plants are causing this? It may be a transitional period. That's what I've been told by many people. Transitional period. If your body gets used to it, adapts to it, that shit's going to go away. So I'm still on the train. I'm still on the road there. I'm still giving it a good try. My diet right now, previously I was probably 65% plant-based for the past couple of years. Now I'm like 95% plant-based. Mostly all plants. Some days just all plants. Days in a row, all plants. And then when I feel like it's kind of like a refeed, I will have some animal protein. I can't help it. There are other things I'm trying to do. It's not like I try to do one thing at a time or have one goal at a time at this point. I've been doing this a long time. I'm trying to get back into some kind of decent condition because I want to make some videos and I want to move some weight. So I need the muscle to move the weight. I got to get back into shape a little bit, and that's what I'm trying to do. And the plants aren't cooperating with me in that regard yet. But we'll see what happens. So anyway, I conclude by saying that I'm not saying that these studies are lying to you or wrong or false alarm about all the negative things about milk, but I am saying that with anything else, you cannot discount the role of heredity. Cannot discount your genetics. So, my experience may not be the same thing you experience. You may do even better. You may not even have the phlegm problem. You may do worse. Maybe for you, milk is a health wrecker. Hell, you may be lactose intolerant. They say, I've even read where they say everybody's lactose intolerant. Well, I really didn't have a whole big problem with milk. Now, milk may be bloated a gallon of milk a day, but when I switched to like Fairlife, for instance, super clean, highly filtered, I didn't have the bloat problem anymore. Anyway, that's all I want to talk about, just milk. So who's right? Jerry right or is Jason right? I mean, I guess they're both right. Milk is, in my opinion, if all you're concerned about is building muscle and you're willing to take the risk to find out for yourself, but weigh the risks or weigh the supposed risks very cautiously. But I would say you cannot find anything that can actually replace the role of milk and the holes that milk fills in the service it can provide to you if all you're concerned with is building muscle right now. There's nothing better. Absolutely nothing better. All right? That's my opinion, my experience.